if you're playing right at the bottom of the English leagues, it's pretty tough to make money. So I'm going to show you what I do at this level to make sure I've got enough funds to put a low tier club in a good position for the future. It's not easy and it takes time, but it's definitely worth it to make sure you're controlling the finances straight away. The main focus here is reducing spending right from the start, as well as doing as much as possible to bring in revenue. Here's how I do it. The first thing that I do when I first set up a game is under advanced options. I select a couple of options here. You've got do not add key staff. I make sure to click that, mainly because you don't want the kind of staff that the game puts in for you. They're not necessarily all the best staff for the job. They're going to be paying them money. It's not worth it. So it's best to add the key staff in that you want yourself. And then the other option here, you've got add players to playable teams. Once again, I wouldn't recommend this. It's actually better to start with grade players and get the players you want, as opposed to have players you have to try and get rid of. It's possible there'll be contracted players at this level, and you really don't want to be paying any wages that they might be taking. In terms of the other ones, it doesn't really make any difference. Obviously, I don't use any use of the in-game editor, so I leave that like that. Another good way to save a bit of money right at the very start of the game is simply down to club selection. Now there's two types of clubs here. You've got an amateur. If you look under professional status, you've got amateur clubs, and you've also got semi-professional clubs. Now the main difference here is basically what kind of contract you get when you start the game. If you select an amateur club, you won't have a contract. It will just be a non-contract, and therefore you won't take a wage. Semi-professional, just the opposite. You will take a wage, you will have a contract, and you'll have a bit more job security. There's benefits to both. I would recommend taking a semi-professional club. It does sound great to have an amateur and no wage, but the only problem with that is that it's just too easy to lose your job if you go on a bad run of form. So I would take a semi-professional and we'll go from there. The location of the club can make a massive difference as to long-term finances. So for example, if we take a look at the East Midland Counties League here, if we go click on Clipston and facilities, you can see the city is based in Clipston. I don't think that's actually a city. Anyway, Clipston is here. And if we look at Clifton here, an amateur team, they are based in Nottingham, which is here. Now the opportunity for this team is vastly different because the location of Clipston will never change. It will always be Clipston, whereas Clifton will always be in Nottingham. So the opportunity for fans to reach the ground and watch the games is a lot higher if you click on Clifton and have those. So bear that in mind as well. I know it's only got a 1,000 stadium capacity, but as your team grows, it might change to a new stadium, and it will be worthwhile being in a city like Nottingham rather than a city like Clipston. So for this example, I've taken control of Falmouth Town, a semi-professional team in the South West Peninsula League Premier Division East. Let's see what they've decided to give me as a wage. There we go, £110 a week, so that's completely doable at this level. Obviously, the main expenditure you're going to have in any football club is the wages, so making sure you've just got absolutely the very smallest amount of people taking a wage at this level. So let's see who else is taking a wage in this team that we've just started off. Under the staff tab here, we've got me, and that's it. So we might still have to bring some more people in, perhaps a scout, and I don't think we even need a coach or a physio at this level. Just minimum amounts of people, so me and a scout maybe, just so that we can make sure we're getting the right people in. And then in terms of the players, there's no one taking a wage there either, so it's great. The really limited expenditure on wages. That's the first thing I'd recommend, is keeping really tight control of wages. Now something else you can do further in, assuming that you manage to keep your job and at this level, I'm sure it'd be fine, but you don't have to take a wage yourself. I would recommend when you kind of approach the end of the contract, here we go, it's going to be June 2021, approaching the end of this time, when it's time to renegotiate your contract, just take the lowest possible wage that you can, just reduce it right down. If you're into role play, that's fine. Try and negotiate a higher wage. But in terms of just micromanaging, making sure that you bring the most money into the team as possible, just to reduce your wage down as far as you can go. I've got a save as Worcester Raiders in 2024, and I'm taking £15 a week at the moment, so you don't have to take a massive wage. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just a sink. So make sure to renegotiate your wages as low down as possible, and remove any bonuses that you might be taking as well. Another good way to bring in some funds is through the friendly system. As you can see, when you first start a new save, you'll be given some friendlies to be getting on with. This is good, they've got all home ones, but just take a look and make sure that they are actually going to be worthwhile to play. If you don't like the look of any of them, you can just cancel them by pressing cancel friendly down there. Aside from that, just feel free to absolutely jam out as many games as possible before you start. Bear in mind, all the players when you first start will be grey anyway, so whilst you're building the team up, you're not kind of building any match fitness or anything like that. You're just bringing in finances, and also when they're grey, they don't cost anything to play. They're not getting any bonuses or any appearance fees or anything like that, so feel free to just jam in as many possible games. Just bearing in mind how much you're paying to play these games. For example, let's see, you've got Dover here. Now I'm playing in the Southwest Peninsula team here, Peninsula League here as Falmouth. Now that's going right the way across the country to play Dover, so just be careful that you're actually going to make money out of this, because travelling there and the fee won't necessarily make it worthwhile. Home fee fixtures are generally worth it as well, but just again be careful what you're actually paying. So say for example here, I mean, you've got some very large reputation teams. Just make sure you're not paying them loads to play. You're probably better off just selecting nearby teams and just playing those games. Now also bear in mind you've got a few options in terms of types of friendly. You've got tours, cups, leagues, as well as multiple friendly matches. A cup is always a good option because you're playing numerous games all together, and you can play numerous cups as well. And generally cups, you can have like one large team and then a few smaller teams. So you've got like that one large team which is bringing in a few more people than perhaps the smaller teams would normally bring in. So generally try and pack out the friendly fixtures before you start the season, and then that's a good way of bringing in just a few extra thousand just before the start of the season begins. It's also worth noting that it is actually entirely possible to continually play friendlies throughout the season. There's no need to kind of only do it at the start of the season. Just as long as you've got the players, even if they're just grade players, just cram friendlies in everywhere. It'll make a long, difficult season for the players, but it'll be worth it for your finances. So that's pretty much how I approach tier 10 of Football Manager 2021. The main trick is not trying to make money, but not spend it. Wage management is possibly the most important thing. This screen shows you how my finances have gone on a completely different save under Worcester Raiders, and generally, yep, my staff wages, my player wages, are still basically nothing in comparison to bonuses, again because these are mainly non-contract players. I still think perhaps my bonuses are a bit high, so I'll be renegotiating those later on down the line. But in terms of the long game, then the finances are in a great position. Got 100 grand in the bank, and I'm ready to take on the Vanarama National South. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you've got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below.